It was raining, of course. But you don't care about that when you're a kid, do you? That was one of the first times that I had proper seaside chips. One of the only times too. I hope that day would never end. That I could stay there forever and listen to the sea. I'd love to go back. I remember spending nearly all my pocket money on that grabby claw machine, trying to win a teddy. But hey, I did it. I won a pink Beanie Baby. Beanie, I creatively called it. I still have that teddy, you know. It's covered in stains, stitches loose, arms hanging off. This was back when I was living with my foster parents. They'd often take me on little days out. Well, they describe them as little, but days out like that meant a lot to me. Money was always tight for my real mum and dad. They didn't work. Whenever I came home from school, they'd be sat in the same places on the sofa. My mum would be half asleep with a bottle slipping out of her hand. My dad telling me to piss off upstairs or get lost. The usual greeting. I'd play outside a lot. Didn't like being at home. Dad was always angry about something. I was left to fend for myself most of the time. Some of my mates I used to play out with, they'd bring me like packets of crisps or share their plates with me, sat on the doorstep. I knew how to make cereal. That was about it. Yeah, I'd do anything to avoid being in that house. There was one night I'd woken up to crashing around downstairs and screaming, "Don't think I won't, I'll do it!" My dad shouted. I ran to the top of the stairs. My mum was on the floor crying. My dad was out of breath and they both turned to look at me. The look on my dad's face turned. I knew what was coming. It was like that most nights. I couldn't take it anymore. I bolted to my bedroom, threw open the window and started climbing out. It was pitch black outside. I couldn't see the ground. Even if I did survive the fall, where would I go? I didn't know the neighbours. I didn't even have any money. I was scared. So I lowered myself down, back into my bedroom. My dad's silhouette in the doorway behind me. I often wonder what would have happened if I'd have made that jump. My dad approached from behind me and he grabbed my waist. I dug my fingernails into my palms and I told myself it was just another night. But it wasn't. I think I was 7 at the time. My mum was always the one to apologise. "He's got a lot going on, love. He doesn't mean it. Don't be upset, please. It breaks my heart." Looking back, I think she was just scared. Scared of him and of what he might do if I spoke out. I used to think that was normal. That's just how families are. It's just what families do. My dad would have these mates around most nights. I'd have to sit upstairs and wait until I was told to come down. The room would stink of beer. "Come sit down, love. Make yourself comfortable." I'd sit down and my mum and dad would suddenly disappear from the room. leaving me alone. Wandering hands tugging at my nightie. Why don't you sit on my lap here with me? You're very pretty, Maya. It was always the same spiel. I hated it. It wasn't long before I got moved in with a foster family, Lucy and John. They were the ones that took me to the seaside the first time. Really nice people. It wasn't a permanent arrangement though. A few years after that, John was really sick, so I was moved into a group home. It was all right, actually. I felt like I could talk about myself a bit, a bit more, because everyone sort of got it. There wasn't any judgment. The group home, they helped me out, they helped me open up a bit, but school was still rough. A lot of the time, I didn't feel like going. I found myself zoning out a lot, not concentrating on what the teacher was saying. Oh, don't get me wrong, I had some great teachers. They seemed to really care about helping me out with the work and talking to me, but I did struggle. I was always worried about people were talking about me, or, well, anxiety and depression quickly followed. The counsellor at school was great though. We'd meet at the start of most weeks. She helped me with coping strategies to get me through the school day and all that. Then I was referred to CAMHS. They were a huge help back then. I had this social worker too. I'd known her for quite a while actually. She's always making me giggle, listening to me and comforting me. I've had my fair share of social workers, but she read me like a book. I trusted her. It felt like I finally had a safe space, someone to talk to. I felt supported. Managed to get my GCSEs, just about passed, but it didn't matter. College was my next goal, and I'd heard good things. How you get treated with a bit of independence. Dare I say, I was quite excited. Turning 18, it felt like that's all 17-year-olds would talk about, and I couldn't wait. No more fake IDs to get into clubs. I could be a proper adult, take full advantage of my independence, get myself sorted a bit, finish my A-levels and go to uni. And that had been the plan for a while. Me and my social worker had, we talked it through a lot of times. What support I'd get, where I might live. I could make some proper friends, the kind you grow old with. Live somewhere new. A fresh start. Make a little life for myself. Everyone said there'd be more freedom, more choices, and I believed them. I had a few prep meetings with the leaving care team. Even met someone from adult mental health once. She seemed okay. So yeah, I was hopeful. But things started unravelling quicker than expected. The day before my 18th, I had an appointment with CAMHS. Just a check-in, the usual stuff. The appointment was with Amanda. I'd seen her a few times over the years. I really, really liked her. She looked down at the papers in her hand. Then she looked up at me. Right, Maya, as you'll be turning 18 tomorrow, you'll officially be passed the adult services. This will be your last session with us. I stared at her. I knew the transfer was coming, of course I did, but hearing it said out loud, it hit different. But I'm not ready to see someone else. They won't know me like you do. Oh, please, Amanda, can't you do something? I blurted out. She just took a breath. I'm sorry, Maya. My hands are tied. The panic set in, and my chest, it tightened. This was just the start. I couldn't stay in my group home once I turned 18. Waking up on my birthday and having to pack up my bag, it didn't feel like the fresh start I'd imagined. They placed me in a one-bed flat. It sounded perfect at first, my own space for once. But there was this one guy in the flat opposite. He'd shout through most of the night and have people round for late night parties. I didn't feel safe. So I got moved into a B&B. It was in a rough area. I was too scared to leave the room. It felt like everything was piling on top of me. I spoke to one person from the mental health team to try and get my needs assessment. Then someone else about, different housing options available. I started to lose track. One waiting list to another. No one really knew me. It felt like I had to explain my story over and over again. And after everything, all the preparation, all the talks about independence and support, this was it. This is what being ready looked like. One night, it got too much. I couldn't stop shaking, couldn't catch my breath. It felt like my skin was too tight for my body, so I just did what they told me to do, and I called the crisis number they'd given me. The lady on the phone, she told me to go to A&E if I felt unsafe. A&E? I hung up. Curled up on the floor, and I stayed there till the morning. That was when I realised this wasn't support. Not the kind I needed. Eventually, I stopped showing up at appointments, ignored attempts to contact me. I didn't see the point anymore. I knew no one was trying to make things hard for me, but I was overwhelmed. In the end, I decided it'd be better to try and sort things out on my own. I left the accommodation I was in. I couldn't settle. At first, my nights were spent on sofas at some of my college mates' houses, but it always felt like I was intruding. I remember being desperate for independence as a kid, wanting to make decisions for myself and all that. I wanted to learn to drive, but lessons were too expensive. Even if I could afford them, I couldn't afford a car. I've been trying to apply for jobs, but I can't sit through interviews. I break into a sweat. I get chest pains, and I feel like they're judging me, looking at me funny. At my last interview, I panicked and I ran out. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. These days, I've got a couple of places that tend to crash. Means moving around a lot, but at least it gets me off the street for the night. There's a few of us in a similar situation who try and stick together. Each of us knows someone who'll let us stay for a bit. I wouldn't call them mates. Half the time I don't even know their names. But they're never in short supply. Especially now that I've gotten heavily involved in drugs. I know how that sounds, but it's really lonely not having a place to call home. At least, not somewhere I feel totally safe. And when you're on your own, you can't help but look for an escape. Drink and drugs make the days go quicker. Guess what? I've got a boyfriend. I didn't see it coming either. He's great. He really takes care of me. He has his own place, so I get my own room. I mean, we share a room, I should say. I know that might seem a bit forward, but we just clicked. I met him a few weeks ago. A few of us were sat in the park, and one of them mentioned this mate of his. You know, he had a house we could crash at that night. I didn't question it. We turned up, and there must have been about 10 lads sat in the living room, all in their 40s, 50s. Everyone else in the group dispersed around the room. Then one guy moved to open up the seat next to him, and he smiled at me. So I sat down. Turns out it was his house. He was all right looking. We did the usual pass around, and I felt pretty good. I looked around, and half the girls were necking on with some of the guys. Typical. Suddenly, I noticed the guy next to me had his hand on my thigh. Well, I pushed it off, and I just looked at him. He looked apologetic. I got up to go to the bathroom. As I was walking up the stairs, I heard footsteps behind me. I tried to turn around, but I felt a bit floaty, and I nearly lost my balance. Someone grabbed me by the waist. "I've got you." It was Sofa Guy from downstairs. I didn't say anything. I walked to the top of the stairs. His hands hovered around my waist. "You got a boyfriend?" he asked. "No," I replied. He was quite cute, actually. I asked where the bathroom was, and he guided me into one of the bedrooms. He started touching me up, telling me how pretty I am. I was feeling quite flustered. I didn't really know how to react. He pushed me down on the bed. I tried to get up, but he tightened his grip around my wrists, pinning them to my sides. It wasn't quite the sweeping off my feet I'd imagined, but he asked me to be his girlfriend. And that was it. I've been living there ever since. It's been great. He really provides for me. He's got a bit of a temper, but I've learned to manage it most of the time. Last night, though, he went off on one of his usual tirades. I'd been out all day in town with some of the people I know, just hanging out, but he doesn't like it when I'm not around. He gets jealous, possessive. We got in a huge fight. He called me ungrateful over and over. Said some things I don't even want to repeat. Then he told me to get out. Just like that. It's been a while since I've had to sleep in the park. I'd forgotten how cold it can get. This isn't the first time he's done this. I tried calling him earlier to apologise. No answer. So I'm just waiting. Waiting for him to calm down. Waiting for things to go back to normal. I do miss not having someone I can go to when this stuff happens. Someone to ask for advice. Someone I can trust. Anyway, I'm heading to meet some friends in a sec. That might take my mind off things for a bit. It's a text from him. Sorry about last night, babe. Let me make it up to you. Got a score coming tonight. You can have half. Meet me at my mate's house at 9. And there's an address. See? He can be sweet when he wants to be. He's just got a lot on at the minute. He's got a lot going on right now. He didn't mean it. I'll see you tonight then.